Hey, this is a desperate plea. I'm reading too. My story is one that demands urgent attention, both as a chilling testament to personal suffering and as a crucial warning about the vulnerabilities whistleblowers like myself face, especially as someone with a chronic disability. My life, once filled with artistic creation and a relentless quest for truth, has been deeply marred by chronic mental health issues, a past marked by sexual abuse, abuse and neglect, and an ongoing conspiracy designed to silence my dissenting voice. My experiences expose significant failings in how our society treats individuals with disabilities, addresses mental health, and protects those who stand up to corruption. I'm now seeking asylum and protection in my own country. My plight tests the very fabric of our societal values and justice mechanisms. It's imperative to heed my call for oversight and action against the corruption, my neglect, abuse, and torture that I have endured. This is my story and a plea for recognition and reform, and a desperate plea for anyone to help, not just for my own safety and freedom from violence, but for the integrity of our societal commitment to protecting the vulnerable and upholding the truth. My name's Dr. Rich McLean, but I changed it to Baron Dodger. I'm an artist, an author, a writer, and a truth speaker and seeker. I'm a rejected whistleblower for my moral obligation to call out corruption in this country for the purposes of both saving my life and for the sake of democracy and humanity everywhere. Currently, I have no home. I have no possessions. I have one change of clothes. I have no one left in my life. No money. My human rights are documented as abused, uninvestigated, and I have no legal recourse. I have a chronic disability with no psychiatrist, with no psychologist, with no GP, with no drug and alcohol help, with no legal help, with no advocate, and no access to financial help. I am being tortured in a systemic and politicised way, which is called no-touch torture. And this deceitful, subtle methodology is to destroy me and silence me, and it has murdered me already. And I was revived from death in 2021, only to face a whitewashing of my tragedy and suffer an unacknowledged brain impairment. There is absolutely nothing I can do about this torture by the Australian government. I'm desperately appealing for your sense of humanity and justice in order to claim asylum inside Australia, somewhere with a place to be, with freedom from violence, from this persecution, abuse, and neglect of me. I'm in Sydney, and my email is barondodger@gmail.com. BARRANDODGER@gmail.com. First of all, I've got to say, I've been diagnosed since I was 20 with chronic schizophrenia. I also suffer from an anxiety disorder and unmedicated ADHD. That is complicated by an acquired brain injury I received as a result of a suicide attempt from financial persecution, family violence, conspiracy, and coercive financial control. The suicide attempt was successful and occurred inside Werribee Mercy Hospital in February 2021. The hospital FOI states it was a fatal injury and a lethal attempt, and I was revived from certain death and found unresponsive without a pulse and revived. I'm also a child sexual abuse survivor, but no justice has ever arrived for me. No one has ever acknowledged this terrible blight on my childhood, which has been the catalyst for a life of chronic disability. I'm a man on the fucking edge because I'm the subject of a federal conspiracy. This conspiracy has intentionally redacted all of my prosperity via covert and deceptive manipulation of politics and society, in which I've never ever had a single lawyer or legal aid to represent me. That is against the UN Charter of Disabled Persons ratified by the government in 2008. The Australian government is in clear breach of its obligations to me as a person with a disability. And I hear voices which are unpleasant every day and all day. Some of it's in my head as true hallucinations that are a result of my illness, schizophrenia. Two things are true. One is that I have a psychotic illness in which one of the symptoms is that I think there's a conspiracy. And the other true thing is that there actually is a fucking conspiracy, and I can prove that, and I do that here, right now, today. This conspiracy demonstrates that the individuals who persecute me are extra malevolent, cruel in an abhorrent and inhuman way. I was already a victim of circumstance, and now powerful, political, privileged people are using their position of influence and power to victimise me even more. And now they've weaponised an autobiography I wrote on my experience with schizophrenia as a brave narrative that is in the public domain, as a method to exploit what is a known vulnerability that I have been very honest about. And this action and intention are beyond cruel and abhorrent. It's unthinkable, immoral, and it's morally and ethically fucking bankrupt. Some of the voices in my head are the result, also in the real environment, of real and actual audio harassment. This audio harassment is in which real noises, sounds, and stimuli are placed in the environment near me. This is in order for this conspiracy to wear me down. The audio harassment tortures me and has the intention to break my spirit. It's a method of torture used against me, and breaking my spirit is in order to solicit my suicide out of utter neglect, financial destruction, and desperation. These perpetrators are powerful individuals who want me to suffer, or even die, or murder me. By creating conditions so desperate and with a poverty that is intentionally designed by these powerful forces, it's well outside of my control. My poverty is not the result of any character weakness or flaw that I possess. It is the result of this malicious conspiracy to pervert the course of justice, which embroils everyone in Australian politics and also the Prime Minister. A couple of days ago, I left my NDIS provided home because I had threats that someone would take my dog and kill her. Plus, I was in a situation where I had to beg for food and cigarettes every day, and it was not a dignified life. The NDIS, as a statutory agency, is obliged to my care as a disabled person, but I have been homeless, basically, for 4 years, on and off, on their watch. And the NDIS minister, who can't remain named or else I'll go to jail, has acted to hospitalise me for the 8th useless time. And I lost, at the time, the rudimentary accommodation that I was in. He and other ministers, powerful people, have acted in congruence with police and the mental health sector to weaponise the Mental Health Act and threaten me with incarceration. And this threat of being jailed as a political prisoner has driven me away from the shell of a home that I used to live in, which wasn't really a home, just a place where unscrupulous NDIS providers, Free Living Australia, could exploit my NDIS plan and collect cash as they pass go. And they begrudgingly provided a roof over my head. They kept me in abject poverty even then. Because the source of my abuse, the statutory agency, the NDIS, were paying them to do so, as a politically abusive agreement in which it was decided that I would be and live in abject poverty. The NDIS providers collected the cash as they housed me, and Free Living Australia collected over $100,000 within 3 months to keep me barely accommodated and in poverty, begging for food. And the NDIS paid them that money in order to keep my political persecution alive and well, and keep me in a powerless and desperate state with my voice silenced, my power taken, and all control over my life demolished. Recently, I've been stalked by intelligence operatives. These operatives act covertly and with great subtlety in order to avoid detection or be identified. These agents have enormous power and supreme access to intelligence, knowledge, and they have enormous political influence. They are linked to the security service ASIO and the Five Eyes Alliance. The individual who messaged me on Grindr only a week ago on the gay chat app gave 2 cryptic clues that were obvious to me. These clues, which I'll tell you, demonstrated that he was an intelligence operative. When these clues happen to me in life and in my electronic life, it's very obvious that it has intelligence and intent. It's obvious if you know these things are part of my continued electronic harassment, stalking, and persecution. The initial statement, which the individual couldn't have known as an ordinary person, suggested that there were discussions at so-called headquarters regarding the name Bazdod. That name, Bazdod, is short for Baron Dodger, my name. It's also my username of my Wikipedia editing profile for the global publishing platform and the globally publicly editable online encyclopedia. It's also my Twitter handle. The person who messaged me that was a paid covert intelligence agent, and he additionally mentioned the name Netherzone. Mentioning that was curious to me because I knew that it meant something, but I didn't know what yet. Days later, I was reminded of my efforts to blow open this conspiracy by publishing detail on Wikipedia. And I uploaded all of my evidence of this persecution of me and the abuse, neglect, and torture to the publishing platform Wikipedia. I was editing a profile of my old name, Dr. Richard William McLean, Australia, which had a profile on Wikipedia. You see, I was already a well-known person in Australia due to various things, including being an exhibiting artist and also the author of an autobiography on my experience with schizophrenia, which was released to great acclaim and also crucified me. It received a Human Rights Award and Sane Australia's Book of the Year, and I've been an advocate in this country on local, state, national and international levels for 30 years. And I was and am passionate about mental health advocacy for mentally ill people and their carers. This conspiracy I am the victim of is deceitful and covert manipulative movement. The reason it exists is simple: to remove my prosperity. That is linked to others' shame, stigma, discrimination of me as a person with a mental illness. Something I advocated against in my own personal life independently for 30 years. And the level of betrayal from Australian society, my friends and family, and every government agency is profound. The redaction of my prosperity was a reaction to my autobiography when it was published. It was other people's ill feelings toward me now that I had a public profile. I myself had no issue with identifying myself with schizophrenia in that way, and I should have not been so naive to think that people would not judge me and treat me differently. At the same time, the Herald Sun, where I used to work as an artist, humiliated and vilified me for my illness and publicly shamed me. They wrote a full-page article with my words, my descent into madness, how schizophrenia stole Richard McLean's mind. and within 2 weeks, I had been illegally terminated from my job as an artist and journalist and illustrator for their opposition over at the Age newspaper. Later in life, the other reason for this conspiracy appeared. This conspiracy rejects evidence and delegitimises my experience of a relationship in which I was engaged to be married to Stefan Isonides. He is a criminal mastermind who has managed to manipulate the entire country that the relationship did not exist. This government prefers a narrative whereby that relationship is never acknowledged, and that is out of step with reality, and they call me delusional. No police officer or lawyer or public official or politician or ombudsman or family or friend will ever acknowledge the relationship either. This has confused me so much, and I really do not know how it has been done. It is an extraordinary manipulative achievement. The cover-up seems to be in order to protect my former partner, Steve Isonides, and his prosperity from me accessing a settlement of assets and property worth $500,000. The method seeks to delegitimise the relationship we had in which he exploited me for 5 years, left me homeless, to look after his dying dog who he used to abuse and kick. He owes me a fair, equal settlement regarding the definition of same-sex de facto relationships as per the legal definition. He is, and we are, obliged to a separation of assets. But I had nothing when he dumped me after abusing me for years, including drugging and sexually assaulting me. And he had been earning $40,000 a month, first at Apple under Steve Jobs, and then at ASIO, the Secret Service, under David Irvine. He was a multimillionaire, and when we were together, he took my advice and sold a house he owned in Abbotsford he made from the sale of being a drug mule for over $1 million. He also had shares, $1 million in superannuation and other assets. He told me he put the money in an offshore tax haven in order to rot the system and make it filthy rich quick. He is a former drug trafficker, tax fraudster and a thief who admitted to me being at murders. On the other hand, whilst we were together, I was living off a disability pension of about $400 a week. My disability pension, he coerced, tricked and manipulated me into receiving. That was out of his greed because he refused to pay anything for me. And he manipulated me because he said I would lose my independence if we declared to Centrelink. And I was also living off an $80,000 total permanent disability settlement for my diagnosis of schizophrenia in which I could not function or work. Because of my whistleblowing, he has apparently been done for $1 million in fraud for his corrupt finances. And instead of taking responsibility for his crime and dishonesty, he has used the carrier service and Grindr in order to threaten to kill me and kill my beautiful dog, Crystal the Husky. That is something which I have been unable to report to police. Unfortunately for me, the police are in on this conspiracy and they are just pawns of the federal government who is the real source of my persecution. That is because I am now a targeted individual of the Australian government earmarked for utter destruction, silence, death or jail. These days, I'm a security threat probably for my efforts in calling out corruption in Australia, and it pisses off powerful politicians. This conspiracy is extremely alive and it has a mandate. Silence me at any cost, whether it be illegal, murder or any taboo method of torture known to humankind. This is because, I'm a liability from the government because I can detail corruption to the highest level. I even have a letter from the Prime Minister Anthony Albanese himself refusing to help me in neglecting any single meaningful change to my horrid circumstances of poverty. And the continued delegitimisation of my engagement of 5 years that protects my former partner and sustains my poverty, and the federal government and the police and law enforcement and the courts actually elongate this coercive financial control and family violence. That is not okay. What is also not okay is this conspiracy is violent, because I have been violently attacked with the shit kicked out of me by a covert paid government contractor inside Werribee Mercy Hospital in order to maim, harm, damage and intimidate me. This very conspiracy goes back to 2021 when my autobiography was published. This conspiracy has no care if I die and has character assassinated me beyond compare, and in fact encourages my death via the manipulation of my socio-political and financial life. Currently, I'm homeless. I've got no food, no possessions, no money, no human rights, no legal rights, one change of clothes, I haven't got a shaver. I'm camping out in a hotel room, begging for help. I signed up with another NDIS provider after leaving the last one, who said they could find me somewhere to live. But I approached them secretly after I left my but police approached them already, even though I approached this NDIS company in secret. Therefore, my communications are intercepted. They've already contacted them and asked questions about me, and they know I'm seeking services from them. And this is the result of the conspiracy of me being investigated, profiled, and surveyed. And this NDIS company has only yesterday utterly refused to lend me any money, to give me any money for food, medicine, anything at all. That is because Cal Graham, my contact at the NDIS, who I'm not even allowed to email or call and have never spoken to, has warned them that they will be in serious trouble if any single cent, money or prosperity is provided to me. And that's how I know that the NDIS is complicit in this brutal conspiracy. It's in order to solicit my suicide by manipulation of my finances and creating a deliberate poverty in which I'm forced to consider suicide. That is out of the sheer desperation and hunger. I have no psychologist. I have no psychiatrist. I don't even have a GP. I have no financial counsellor. I have no drug and alcohol counsellor. I'm not even allowed to contact the NDIS. In fact, if I contact the NDIS, I could be sent to jail. Because I've been banned from communication, I'm still a rejected whistleblower. I've got no legal help, no access to the law, no equality before the law, and I can't report any single crime to any police officer, state or federal. And IBAC and ICAC refuse to investigate the corruption. I live in poverty, abused and neglected on the NDIS's watch, who are the agents of my destruction, and I'm threatened with incarceration in jail as a belligerent solution to my homelessness, because I was set up with a ridiculous crime in Victoria, and then I was forced to flee Victoria to escape going to hospital, the place where I had literally died and been there 8 times in 2 years and does no good or helps in any way. I was forced to flee Victoria into New South Wales with my dog in my car as an infamous vagrant and an innocent fugitive. And now there's a warrant for my arrest in Victoria. I'm not the bad guy, because despite being homeless, a hearing happened at the Magistrates Court in Moorabbin, and the magistrate made a warrant for my arrest. For the purposes of me not showing up on the court date, hello, I've been chased out of the fucking state by the police and the people purported to be caring for me. And I was 1,000 kilometres away, on the run and homeless. I was persecuted from the same police who were supposed to be obliged to care for me, but instead are just simple pawns in a broader conspiracy that persecutes me as a targeted individual. I have no way out of this. What I do have, though, is a federal court document that confirms my employee status with DSS. That's very important because my work cover was first rejected at Comcare by Paul Fowler, who was the old boss at WorkSafe, who pushed me to Comcare, and then I appealed the decision at AAT, but the decision was upheld by Member Pinnell, defended by Kate Watson, bitch lawyer, and they refused to pay my work cover on account of me not being considered an employee. But I can appeal that decision. Where? At the federal court. I've already got the federal court document satisfied with my evidence and confirming my employee status with DSS. That document that I'm sharing with you underneath here now is worth a settlement of over $800,000. All I need to do is to get someone to help me legitimise it with any authority who has the power and agency and courage to uphold it in order to solicit my extremely overdue compensation, which is just, fair and logical. So yeah, in a long way, I'm asking anyone in the meantime, if you're in Sydney, can I please stay in your house? Have you got somewhere for me to go? I have had threats to kill me, threats to kill my dog. I am gang-stalked, I am harassed, I am followed. I need to find a safe place. I've applied for protection in international consulates inside Australia as per Julian Assange. I've asked international NGOs to no avail. I've submitted a report to the ONHCR, International Human Rights Agency, and it was ignored. I don't want to die, and I don't want my dog to be killed either. I'm appealing to anyone's sense of human values that by this conspiracy and ask for political asylum inside a hotel, inside someone's house, in someone's garage. I don't care where it is. This is for my safety for the time being. If Stefan Isonides finds me and finds my dog, he'll kill her. He would kill me if he could. And he will undoubtedly kill my dog if he finds me. And the same people that are persecuting me protect him. This is a vexed and complex story. This conspiracy will also aim to silence, jail, or kill me by any means possible. I have proven to you that this conspiracy acts covertly and by deception in ways that are not obvious to others, but are very obvious to me. And from anyone looking on the outside, it should be obvious that there is something very fishy going on with my life. And now I've proven it and hopefully convinced you in this speech to you. Will you please help me? I can potentially afford to pay to stay somewhere, and I'll agree to pay you back all the money when I receive justice, and I'll even add an extra 10% on top and add a $10,000 donation to a person or charity of your choice, someone who you feel is marginalised or oppressed like me, or otherwise has a disability and is in need of urgent assistance. I prepared a contract for that purpose. I've pasted it under here. I implore you to review this information. For anyone to sign it, contact me. My email's barondodger@gmail.com. My phone number is 0406 797 300. That's barondodger@gmail.com, 0406 797 300. I implore anyone who is watching this to review the information on barondodger.com.au and please take a stand against political corruption in this country. Stand against violence, stand against a tyrannical government rule that rules with impunity and violence, and stand against soliciting murder. Can someone out there please provide me asylum in my own country, in a society and a government that's forsaken me and excommunicated me, socially, politically, systemically, and with utter malice for my destruction, to silence me, jail me, incarcerate me in an insane asylum, or kill me. My website is barrendodger.com.au. Please, I implore you to go there, have a look at the evidence. I'm a human being. When I cut, I bleed just like you. I've made mistakes. I don't claim to be perfect. I never fucking have. If no one helps me, there is a great imminent risk to my health, wealth, and life. I'm in Sydney after being run out of Victoria by pigs, and the date is the 2nd of the 5th, 2023. My website is barrendodger.com.au. My phone number is 0406 797 300, and I am desperate for any help for the sake of kindness and humanity and for the sake of fucking democracy, which everyone usually just enjoys the privileges of, so long as they don't stick their neck out too far and upset the tyrannical rule that rules with impunity. And for some, being in Australia is a dream. And for others who have got a unique and authentic perspective, not aligned with any government or agency or company or religion, it's a fucking nightmare, like living in Red China. Again, I implore you to please help me. My name is Richard McLean, alias Baron Dodger. I'm an artist, author, academic, and a rejected whistleblower open to political reprisals and revenge. It is not fair that this happened to me. It is beyond my control. There is not a thing I can do about it. It has reached a categorical clusterfuck level of critical mass in which I cannot reverse this situation. Please, I implore you, before I am killed or my dog is killed, please help me.